Good Monday afternoon to you. Yes, it is in fact afternoon. Maybe it's evening, but this time change, guys, not a fan. It is like literally evening, afternoon, you name it, and it is almost dark. Can't stand it. Not good for problem solving. And speaking of problem solving, that is half of why we made this channel. I made this channel to help you guys, to help me, to help Clifford, to help all of us solve problems and get from one point to another in our projects. And that's where we're at today with Clifford. So obviously you guys might think not having an engine is a problem, but there are some ancillary, there are some anecdotal problems around that we're going to work on today. If you guys have ever heard the phrase, so if you guys have ever heard the phrase, it's always something, that's exactly right. When you have a race truck, when you have something that you want to go fast, whether it be a car, truck, you name it, doesn't matter. If you have something that you know, if it's got tires on it, it's always something, right? That's just the way that it is. And so typically when you hear a drag racer say it's always something, you know, it's always either something that's broken, it's always something that you got to buy, it's always something that you got to buy because something is always broken. It is literally just always something. That's just the name of the game. There is always ways to improve. There are always problems to overcome. And it's like we said in the beginning, that's half of why we made this channel, because, you know, there's a lot of guys like me and like you who started out with not a lot of something. I mean, even still, like I have a carport that is almost the entirety of every tool that I own right there. And that's about it. So, I mean, in, you know, the grand scheme of things, I don't have much. But, you know, we started this channel so that way guys like you and guys like me could overcome some problems. And, well, one of the problems with Clifford is that he doesn't have an engine in it. And, you know, I haven't heard from the machine shop as to why we don't have an engine in it yet, as to, you know, what failed. We know it was a bearing, right? But we don't know why it had an oiling problem. But one of the things that has been floating around in our head is, what was the oil temperature? And so, well, if you guys are anything like me, and I know a lot of you are, then you've got yourself the banging Holley Terminator X. That's what you've got. And so that thing is jam up. It is worth every penny. It is one of the most bang for the buck options you can get. But the problem is that you're limited on inputs and outputs. You can't just acquire data that you don't have. You know, you're like me. I'm tapped out on inputs and outputs, and one of the inputs that I need for oil temperature. This is something that we were concerned with on race week, that although our engine temperature didn't get high, our coolant temperature didn't get high, we didn't have any way of monitoring the oil temperature with just our little fancy little handheld here. You know, the 3.5 is great, displays everything that you might want to see except for those auxiliary things. So this is an obstruction. This is a problem. And if we want to keep racing Clifford, if we want to keep doing the race week drag and drive event things, it's going to be important to start monitoring some of those things. And so depending on your application, that's going to determine what is important for you to monitor. In my case, I use up all 4 of my inputs with my bump button, my trans brake button, my dome sensor, and my AC request. Those things tie up all 4. But the list of necessary things or valuable things doesn't end there. So specifically in my case, you know, you can see it right here. I don't have any monitoring going on with the transmission. I don't have line pressure. I don't have line temperature. I don't have charge pressure. I don't have any of those things monitored, and those are pretty big deals. This Extreme Automatics valve body is fantastic, but it doesn't give us the data that, you know, can make or break a situation or let us know if we're developing a problem or where a problem might be occurring. You know, and there's endless places that you could use data. It just, like I said, really depends on your application. Like a guy who does drifting, yeah, he's gonna need totally different data than I am. He's gonna definitely rely on, you know, I don't know, a G meter. I mean, I don't know, drive shaft sensors. Whoa, where are you going? Where are you going? Come back here, you know. Yeah, anyway, you know, even a 2-wheel drive guy, like you guys are definitely going to take advantage of a front wheel speed sensor versus a drive shaft sensor for traction control and all that good jazz, you name it. I got 4-wheel drive, not my problem. All right. But what I'm getting at is that if you have a Tolly Terminator X, as good as it is, you're limited by these functions. You only get 4, so you have to choose them wisely, unless you get a spicy little surprise like I've got right over here. And so with great problems comes great fixes. Now check this out. Look what we got for Clifford. Boom, we have picked ourselves up a Holley 6.86 Pro Dash. Now you might ask yourself, you know, well, you were talking about not spending a lot of money. Those things are expensive, yada, yada, yada. But guys, it's true. Nothing about racing is going to be cheap. Nothing about getting better is going to mean that the next step doesn't cost you some money. It's just about prioritizing where you spend. And if you have reached the limitations of your inputs and outputs, and you're at a point where the extra data can give you those tenths that you need instead of buying horsepower, well, then that's it. It's cost effective. But if you can use the data that you can acquire from this thing to either A, save an engine, or B, get faster without firing up the good old parts cannon, well, hey, then it just saved you money. And that's what we're talking about. You have got to maximize the dollars per gains, and a Holley Pro Dash is going to be one of those things that you can do that with. So what's the big deal with the Holley Dash, right? I mean, you know, I'm churching it up here, but I haven't actually told you what it does. Well, what it does is it not only allows you to monitor things, it's not just a fancy way of putting digital gauges in here. Sure, that's great and it's cool, and I'd be lying if I wasn't a little bit excited about that. But what it does is all the things that you add to this, you can data log. And data is king. Data wins things. Data saves your motor. Data keeps you racing and lets you race faster. So being limited on those inputs and outputs like we were talking about earlier is no longer an obstruction. You can get this guy and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. There are certain limitations to what you can data log. It doesn't do everything as perfectly as the IO module that has come out that has a little bit extra features, and I'm not actually like Holley certified to know exactly what all those are. But for what I'm doing, this thing is going to help me out a ton. It is going to be a total game changer for Clifford. And what else it's going to do, it's going to make our drivability better. I plan to utilize some really cool features on this thing to help Clifford drive around and solve some of the aggravating things that I learned during race week. And so speaking of aggravations that we learned on race week, some of it is trying to look through the steering wheel like this at the little 3.5-inch screen that Holley gives you. Now the 3.5-inch screen is very functional. You get all kinds of bang for your buck out of it, just like the whole Holley package in general. And it is great to have. But when you spend a couple hours in the car, it gets tough looking over and under the steering wheel at the gauges where I have it mounted. Now, maybe you're taller, you can move this up and down. But for a short guy like me, this thing is right in the way and I can't see. But what else is a problem is I learned that once I get these belts on, I can't hardly reach the dash. So when I'm driving down the road and I want to mash lockup, here, let me show you. So I got my line lock button here. That's actually lockup on the transmission. When I want to mash it as I'm driving down the road, I grab 4th gear, click, 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 grab 4th gear. It's very tough because I'm strapped in and I'm not one to drive around without my seat belts. So I can't reach this. But what I can do is I can use the dash to do it for me. So once I get the dash installed in here in the cluster, I think I'm actually going to get with Richard. Richard's our buddy. He takes care of us. And I think I'm going to get with him and actually get a cluster cut out for this thing so I can hide the factory gauges, because I don't need them anymore. Half of them have never worked before I ever did an LS swap. And the other half, I didn't connect when I did the LS swap. But when I'm getting, okay, let's back up. When I'm strapped in, I can't mash these buttons. I can't reach them. My arms are just too short. You can call me a T-Rex all you want, but it's also just aggravating. It's aggravating to do the back and forth to reach up here, and I'm sick of it. But with the dashes installed, I can use a gear position indicator that I'm gonna pick up, and I can make the dash control outputs, because not only does it have inputs, it has outputs, and those outputs can control lockup for me using the pre-existing Holley tables. It's gonna be fantastic. That is going to be a massive, massive headache solver just in driving around. And so I'm not paid by Holley. This is not some type of advertisement. This is not me trying to convince you to buy one. I'm just trying to explain to you that I am, excited about this piece. This is a big key ingredient of things that we can all sandwich into one place, and it couldn't have come at a better time while we're already rewiring Clifford, because I, told you guys in the last video, I've changed my mind. I have changed my mind like 10 times on how I'm going to rewire this thing, on where I want to do it. I'm trying to really balance the act between what you see in typical race cars and what you see, or I should guess what you don't see in street cars. I really want to balance the two, because it needs to be easy to work on and easily accessible like it is in a race car. But it needs to be hidden, and it needs to be clean. It needs to be out of sight and out of mind like it is in a street car. So I'm trying to find that balancing act, but having the Pro Dash and having the extra inputs and outputs, you know, that doesn't really change that problem. But what it does is it gives me more direction to go. It gives me a better thing to do now that I can implement now, as opposed to having made all these drastic wiring changes only to have to do more down the road. So having the Pro Dash now couldn't have come at a better time, and I'm incredibly thankful for my buddy Brian Kemble to have hooked me up with that. Brian and I have been OBS buddies for a long time, and he, you know, we always stay chit-chatting online, but he has got a sick turbo vet cart right now, and a bad to the bone, mega clean turbo F body. We ran into him at Bowling Green, Kentucky for the streetcar takeover race. We shook hands for the first time face to face. It's one of them long time, you know, car buddy, met you online, I know who you are, I know what you drive type of things. So it's good to finally put a name to, or a face to the name, and a handshake. And now we're exchanging car parts. We're actually exchanging some merchandise too. So guys, if I'm excited for one thing more than my Pro Dash, it's merchandise, because we finally got the new digs in. We got the new stuff, we got the new gear. Check that out. We got the new Diggin' Z71 flag shirt, and we are restocked on Clifford shirts. You know where to get them. DigginZ71.com. The OG Clifford shirt looking freaking mint, and then the flag shirt. This one is red, white, and blue. Free as they get. America, let's go. Check that bad boy out. I know that this is the best modeling job I could have done, hanging it on the dirty front end of my truck, but that's all right. That's what you get. DigginZ71.com. Flag shirt. I am literally over the moon pumped for these. They have been a long time coming, because we did a pre-sale on them before race week. The print shop couldn't get shirts in size. Oh man, it was a mess. The state of the world, as we've talked about, it's freaking wrecked. So long story short, excited to have these flag shirts in and ready to ship. If you guys put in a pre-order, they are in a box, they are in a bag, they have a label on them, and they are headed your way. If you want one of those, you know where to get them. I told you 5, 6, 11 times now. Go get yours. It will also be in a bag, in a box, on its way to you with a label on it, just as quickly as you put your order in. And for those of you who have done that, thank you. You have no idea how much it helps. Not only does it help, you know, obviously financially, you know, we make a couple of dollars off these things, but it helps, you know, motivationally. When I see people buy things from me, you know, aside from the dollars, it means that I know someone believes in me, and it means that I know someone can see the same light at the end of the tunnel that I do. It's you know, the internet's a wild place. You get a lot of naysayers, you get a lot of crap talkers, you get a lot of stuff that's just all around discouraging, even if it's not intended to be. So when you guys come through and support us like that, it means way more than you know, and we couldn't be more thankful for it. And I say we because that's me, that's Austin, that's Allie. She helped me spend, you know, all night last night counting, folding, sorting, styling, packing away, and shipping out shirts. You know, I say Austin because he, you know, is a right-hand man to this channel. Him and his car are hand in hand with Clifford and I. It's, you know, this is absolutely a we and not a me thing. And so, you know, all of you who buy shirts, that is a we. You guys are with me. We are all together, and I can't thank you enough. But with that being said, all of that out of the way, this has been a long story we've been rolling through here, you know, on problems. We got a solution, and now we've got to do some implementation in the upcoming videos. But I just had to get this one back out there and to tell you guys that my fire is lit. I have been feeling down in the dumps. I've been a little hard on myself, feeling sorry for myself, but that crap's out of here. This freaking Pro Dash that we picked up from Brian has sparked a little bit of something. It is the kindling that we needed to get this ball rolling. It means that now when I rewire this truck, it's going to have some extra spicy features, some extra comfort features that are really going to be a game changer for us in the long term while we wait on our engine. All right, and with that, I just have one more thing. Stick with me. I have one more thing, is that If you guys have heard of this thing called the come up, the $250,000, the $250,000 to win, no prep race in Crossville, Tennessee, put on by Grand Hustle Racing, my buddy Shannon, an excellent promoter, an excellent friend. I nearly consider the dude to be a brother. He is, you know, he's got my back, I've got his, and because of that, we are teaming up to work together because although I'm not racing in the come up, whoop, dang it, every time I put the camera here, I end up losing you guys. Stay still. Like, come on, 2 more minutes. Just 2 more minutes. That's what I need. That's all that I need. Okay, but we are teaming up to work together because this weekend I'm trying something new, something I've never done before. It is going to be a total game changer for what I've done in terms of racing, but it is something I'm incredibly excited to try because I'm actually going to be the announcer. And so that's right, I'm going to be on the microphone. I'm going to be commenting the race. I'm going to be telling you guys all about how each and every pair goes down the track, facts about the cars, interviews with the drivers, you name it. I'm going to bring my best MC commentating action to the table if I can. It's something I've never done before. I'm a rookie. It's, you know, I have playfully heckled some people at the racetrack before in the microphone, but it is nothing I've ever taken seriously. And right now, I really want to live up to the expectations that Shannon has because this race is serious. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. 256 cars, $250,000 to win. And I get to be the guy telling you all about it. Okay, but it is time to start digging through these wiring supplies. It is time to start planning out the next video for you guys so that way I can get all of this wiring on film, I can get all of this progress on film, and with that I'm going to leave you for the night. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for listening to me tell this story of why a simple little 6.5-inch screen is going to be huge for us, huge for this program, and how it can solve problems for you. If you want to know more about the Holley Pro Dash stuff, you really need to check out some Holley specific guys. I'm not that guy. I can do my best. I can tell you all about it that I can, but there's some guys out there that are going to be far better than me. But for what little bit I can tell you and what little bit I have told you, thank you for listening to it. Thank you for sticking around with me. But with that, I'm Diggins 71. Thanks for watching. Keep digging. We'll see you next time.